Recently, there's been a lot of discussion around Jaden Ivy, and people seem to fall into two very strong camps. Some are saying he may be struggling mentally. Others are saying he's showing courage by standing firm in his beliefs. So instead of reacting emotionally, I want to slow this down and ask, what do we actually know? Some people have compared Ivy to former players like Delonte West and Kyle Singler. Those are serious comparisons. In Delonte West's case, there were well-documented struggles with mental health and substance abuse, both during and after his NBA career. In Kyle Singler's case, there were public incidents, including erratic behavior, legal trouble, and videos where he appeared disoriented and claimed people were after him. In both of those situations, there were clear warning signs over time: unstable behavior, trouble with the law, signs of substance use, difficulty communicating clearly. So the question becomes, do we see those same patterns with Jaden Ivy? From what we know publicly, Ivy has spoken about a personal shift in his life. He mentioned that not being a starter humbled him, that it caused him to reflect more deeply on his decisions, and that he felt he had been living in a way that needed to change. He says he heard the gospel and now wants to share it with others. That's an important detail. Because that kind of language, reflection, repentance, wanting to change, is not unusual in Christianity. In fact, it's central to it. Now, to be fair, some people have pointed out behaviors they find concerning. Things like preaching in moments that may not seem appropriate, like team settings, speaking very strongly about certain beliefs, reports of tension with others, including possibly family or teammates. Those things can raise questions. But here's the key point. Questions are not the same as conclusions. We do not currently have verified evidence of substance abuse, legal trouble, disoriented or incoherent behavior, or anything clearly pointing to mental illness. And without that, it's not responsible to jump to a diagnosis. On the other side, many people are saying something different. They see Ivy as someone who is standing firm in his beliefs, even when it's unpopular. And that takes a certain level of courage, especially in today's culture, where strong religious convictions, particularly around topics like sexuality, can quickly lead to backlash. Some critics argue that his views are harmful or judgmental. Supporters argue that he is simply living out his faith. This tension isn't new. It's part of a larger cultural conversation about truth, belief, and how we live together with deep disagreements. From a Christian perspective, this conversation often comes down to one idea. What does it actually mean to love people? Jesus said, "Love your neighbor as yourself." Matthew 22:39. That verse is quoted often, but it's not always understood clearly. Loving someone means treating them with dignity, kindness, and respect. That includes people from every background, including those in the LGBTQ community. It means standing against bullying, harm, or injustice. It means recognizing that every person has value. But for many Christians, love does not mean agreement. It does not mean affirming every belief or every lifestyle. Those are two different things. A person can care deeply about someone while still holding to their own convictions about what they believe is true. And that tension can be difficult, because in today's culture, strong disagreement is often seen as rejection, and someone with Christian faith is told to keep that faith at home. But from a Christian point of view, the goal is to hold both truth and love. At the same time, Christianity has never been meant to stay private. Jesus told his followers, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation." Mark 16:15. That doesn't mean forcing beliefs on others, but it does mean that Christians are called to live out and share their faith openly. And that can be challenging, because it's not easy to stand firm in your beliefs when the culture around you strongly disagrees. So the real challenge becomes this: how do you stay true to what you believe, while still treating others with genuine love and respect? That's not a simple question, but it's one that sits right at the center of this conversation. So where does that leave us? Right now, we simply don't have enough information to say that Jaden Ivy is mentally ill. At the same time, we can recognize that he is expressing strong beliefs in a very public way, and that will naturally bring both support and criticism. His future is still unfolding. And like anyone, he's going to have to navigate that path carefully. But instead of rushing to label him one way or the other, it may be better to watch, listen, and respond with some level of humility. As of now, I believe Jaden is showing a level of courage by speaking openly about his beliefs, even in a culture that often disagrees with them. From what we've seen, he's expressing convictions that come from a newly found faith, and I hope he continues to grow in that and stay grounded in it. At the same time, this situation raises a larger question. Should someone face consequences simply for expressing their beliefs? Especially when we've seen other situations in professional sports where players involved in more serious, physical misconduct receive limited punishment? That comparison is worth thinking about. There have also been recent changes within the Chicago Bulls organization, including reports of leadership turnover at the vice president and general manager level. It's unclear how much, if at all, those changes are connected to Jaden's situation. Right now, we don't have all the answers. But what we can do is take a step back, avoid rushing to conclusions, and hope the best for him moving forward. Whether that path continues in basketball or leads somewhere else, I hope he finds a way to use his voice in a way that reflects both truth and growth.